You think empathy makes you good? But what if it's slowly destroying who you really are? Picture this. You're scrolling through social media, and every tragic story hits you like a punch to the gut. Your friend calls crying about their breakup, again, and you drop everything to console them. You feel everyone's pain so deeply that you can't sleep at night. Sound familiar? Here's what nobody tells you. That crushing weight in your chest isn't nobility. It's a trap. You've been conditioned to believe that feeling everyone's emotions makes you a better person. But ask yourself this: when was the last time you felt truly at peace? When did you last make a decision based on your needs, not someone else's suffering? We live in a culture that worships empathy like a sacred cow. Be more empathetic, they say. Feel their pain. But what if the very thing we've been taught to celebrate is actually making us weaker, more anxious, more lost? Nietzsche saw through this beautiful lie over a century ago. He understood something that our therapy-obsessed, feelings-first society refuses to acknowledge. Sometimes caring too much is the cruelest thing you can do, to yourself and others. What if I told you that your empathy isn't saving anyone? It's drowning you both. Here's where Nietzsche gets brutal and brilliant. He didn't just question empathy. He dissected it like a surgeon exposing a tumor. In Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche draws a razor-sharp distinction that will shatter everything you think you know about compassion. He separates empathy, that automatic, uncontrolled absorption of others' emotions, from what he calls genuine sympathy, which comes from a position of strength, not weakness. Think about it. When you feel empathy, what's really happening? You're not helping, you're becoming infected. You're allowing someone else's emotional state to hijack your nervous system. You walk into a room, sense tension, and suddenly, your heart is racing. Your friend is depressed and now you can't function. Is this really virtue, or is it emotional slavery? Nietzsche called this Mitleid, literally, suffering with, and he saw it as one of humanity's most dangerous delusions. Why? Because it creates two victims instead of one helper. When you empathetically absorb someone's pain, you don't eliminate their suffering, you double it. But here's the twist that'll blow your mind. Nietzsche wasn't advocating for coldness. He was advocating for something far more powerful: the ability to help from a position of emotional sovereignty. Ask yourself this: have you ever noticed that the most empathetic people in your life are often the most anxious, the most overwhelmed, the most unable to actually solve problems? They feel everything, but change nothing. Meanwhile, the people who actually make a difference, the ones who pull you out of your darkest moments, they don't absorb your pain. They stand above it, strong enough to throw you a rope. What if empathy isn't love at all, but the ego's way of making someone else's story about you? Let's get scientific for a moment, because what Nietzsche intuited philosophically, neuroscience has now proven empirically. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between your pain and someone else's when you're in full empathetic mode. Mirror neurons fire when you witness suffering, activating the same neural pathways as if you were experiencing that trauma. Your cortisol spikes, your amygdala floods with stress hormones, and your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for rational decision-making, goes offline. You're not helping. You're having a biological breakdown in real time. Dr. Paul Bloom's research at Yale reveals something terrifying. Chronic empathy doesn't just exhaust you emotionally. It rewires your brain for anxiety, depression, and decision paralysis. You become addicted to other people's crises because your nervous system confuses their drama with your own identity. Here's the cruel irony. The more empathetic you become, the less effective you are at actually helping. You're so busy drowning in their emotions that you can't see the life preserver right next to you. You become what psychologists call an emotional sponge, absorbing everything, filtering nothing, helping no one. Think about your most empathetic friend. Are they the one you call when you need real solutions? Or are they the one who cries with you but leaves you exactly where you started? Empathy feels good because it creates the illusion of connection, but it's actually the opposite. It's emotional codependency masquerading as love. And if this resonates with you, if you're starting to see the prison you've built around your own emotions, hit that like button and subscribe to Mind Revelation. because what we're about to explore next will completely transform how you show up in relationships. But first, answer this. When did feeling everyone's pain become more important than preserving your own peace? Now here's where Nietzsche becomes your liberation, not your destroyer. He wasn't trying to turn you into a sociopath. He was trying to turn you into something far more powerful, a person who can love without losing themselves. Enter amor fati, love of fate. But not the Instagram quote version you think you know. Nietzsche's amor fati means accepting reality so completely that you stop trying to rescue people from their necessary struggles. You love them enough to let them grow through their pain instead of stealing that growth by absorbing their suffering. Picture this. Your friend comes to you devastated about their toxic relationship. Again, the empathetic response? You feel their heartbreak as if it's your own. You cry with them, you enable their victim story, and 6 months later, they're back in the same situation. Why? Because you robbed them of the discomfort needed to change. The Nietzschean response? You remain calm, present, and unshakable. You don't absorb their chaos because you understand something profound. Their pain is not your responsibility to feel. It's their opportunity to grow. You offer perspective from a place of strength, not solutions from a place of weakness. This is what Nietzsche called noble compassion, helping from overflow, not from emptiness. When you're emotionally sovereign, when you've mastered your own inner world, you can offer something infinitely more valuable than shared suffering. You can offer wisdom, clarity, and the living example of someone who has transcended their circumstances. But here's the radical shift. You start helping people by not feeling their emotions. You become like a lighthouse, steady, bright, and unmoved by the storms around you. People don't need another person drowning with them. They need someone standing on solid ground with a rope. When you stop being an emotional mirror and start being an emotional anchor, everything changes. But can you handle the guilt of not suffering with everyone around you? So here we are, at the moment of truth. You've seen through the empathy illusion. You understand the neuroscience, you've glimpsed Nietzsche's alternative. But now comes the hardest part. Actually living this in a world that will call you selfish for protecting your peace. Let me give you the practical roadmap to emotional sovereignty. First, learn the difference between responding and reacting. When someone dumps their emotional chaos on you, pause. Ask yourself, is this mine to feel? Most of the time, the answer is no. You can care without carrying. You can love without drowning. Second, practice what I call compassionate boundaries. When your chronically dramatic friend calls at midnight, you can say, I care about you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow when I can give you my best attention. You're not abandoning them. You're refusing to enable their crisis addiction while preserving your ability to actually help. Third, embrace the guilt. Yes, you'll feel guilty for not suffering with everyone. That guilt is your old programming dying. Nietzsche knew this. One must have chaos within oneself to give birth to a dancing star. Your discomfort with not being everyone's emotional savior is the birth pang of your authentic power. Here's what nobody tells you about emotional boundaries. The people who truly love you will respect them. The people who get angry when you stop absorbing their pain, they were never interested in your well-being, only in your willingness to be their emotional dumping ground. And you beautiful soul who made it this far into this message, you're ready for this transformation. Drop a word in the comments that represents your commitment to emotional sovereignty. Maybe it's boundaries, maybe it's strength, maybe it's freedom. Whatever word captures your decision to stop drowning with everyone around you. Because here's the final truth Nietzsche understood. True strength isn't feeling everyone's pain. It's choosing when to feel it. You become most helpful when you stop trying to save everyone and start being someone worth saving themselves for. Your empathy was never your superpower. Your sovereignty is.